first keynote speaker for the day is definitely the opposite of mundane, a parenting professional, an educator, an advocate for child's rights, a curriculum consultant, an entrepreneur, a school director, an author, a teacher, the president of Border Education Network.
Thank you so much. But I feel in the day and age of Google, it's better if people like my session, then they can Google about me. Why do you need an introduction? Because those who don't like may not want to listen to it. So I don't want to waste much time out here. My name is Swati Popadwats, and I can just say that I'm as passionate about education, children and childhood as all of you here are. So let me start by asking you a question. Are you happy to be here? Okay. So why are you happy to be here? No answer? Thank you so much. Bangalore weather is good. What about the others who said they were happy to be here? To meet people? To learn something? I started with this because it's a very integral part of my presentation. My topic is how to unbox education. We always tell children, think out of the box. We always tell teachers, think out of the box. Let's come out with some ideas. But I'm a little concerned with this box. Why do we still have it? And why are we still in it, that we want to think out of the box? So it's time, I think, that we need to unbox education if we really want to prepare children for today and future. A lot of conferences where I attend, I see a lot of speakers saying things like, we are preparing children for a future and for future professions which have not even come till now. But if you think about yourself and us when we were children, did our teachers know there would be computers? They didn't. But aren't we as prepared for the future today because of some strong values that our teachers instilled in us? And that is the core of all education. We don't have to worry about the world our children are going to grow up and survive in. We have to worry about the today. Are we giving them the best today? Everybody is talking about the demonetization. I think as educationists, we should start demonetizing education. Think about when it was announced that 500 and 1,000 rupee notes will no longer be acceptable. Think about telling this to your students and to your teachers that from tomorrow, Wi-Fi will not be available. Guess what would happen? And that is the kind of a scenario that we need to prepare children and students and teachers for. That sometimes things will definitely not work. Technology is known to let you down when you need it the most. So that's what is the core of my presentation. I'm going to be discussing some very controversial things also because I'm known to be controversy's child. So that's why I said it's better if people don't know me through my introduction, because if you don't like what I have said, I can just slink away. PISA scores have just been announced, and Singapore has scored very well now. So my question to all educationists, are we now going to flock to Singapore and cancel all our flights to Finland? Because we used to go to Finland schools to see what's making them so great. Why are Finland schools doing so well? It's Singapore who has scored very well this year in the PISA scores. How did Singapore achieve this? Very important for us to understand that before we book a flight to Singapore and go and understand their schools. Singapore took a very conscious decision and started its curricular changes right from early childhood. They first made a complete early childhood curriculum and integrated that into primary and secondary. That's not the case with our country. The CBSE board has banned homework for children, but preschools are still giving homework to children. The CBSE board has banned exams and tests for children, but preschools are still testing children. I was amazed when I visited a school where interviews were going on for children's admissions. It was a little shocking that how can you interview a child to admit the child in your school? It told me a lot about the school, that the school wasn't confident about its teaching abilities. So it only wanted the best students because it can't teach the others. So it wanted the best so that it can come out as the best. And what was even more shocking was the question that the principal was asking these children. She was wearing a multicolored sari, and she pointed to her sari and asked a 3-year-old child, "What color is this?" And the child said, "Rainbow." And I was amazed. I applauded this child because look at the presence of mind and how to the point the child was. But she was searching for a color. She wanted to know the exact color. I mean, aren't we being unreasonable as educationists when we allow such practices to happen amongst our midst? I'm sure with the examples that I give you, you will say, "I don't do this in my school. We don't practice it." But we do know a lot of people who practice these kind of practices, and we do nothing about that. We don't say anything about that. I think as a community of educators, we need to really point fingers at people who are not doing a good job in education. That is when the real change in education will happen. We shouldn't be tolerating schools that do this to children at the time when children are ready to enter the fun world of learning. So what did Singapore do? They made a conscious effort to shift to higher order thinking skills. Now, what is higher order thinking skills? If I ask you what color is the sky, what would you say? Come on, what color is the sky? Right. And if I ask you, why is the sky blue in color? Pin drop silence. All the B.Eds, M.As, Ph.Ds. God made it. Somebody will say reflection of water, so I am wondering how Rajasthan sky is blue. But this is what I'm trying to tell you. We are so used to teaching children facts. The sky is blue in color. The cow eats grass. We're so used to that when children question us, we are stumped. And we say, "You're not supposed to talk in the class." A student asked a teacher, "Why does a cow have horns and a dog doesn't?" Very valid question. And the teacher was totally stumped. What a foolish question to ask. But that is higher order thinking skills. He is not going to just by heart that the cow has 2 horns. The cow has 1 tail. He's not going to do that. He's going to think beyond that. And those are higher order thinking skills. And that is what we don't have. Look at the last one that they decided to have. It's called collaborative problem solving. I think as a group of educators, what this country needs right now is collaborative problem solving skills from all of us about how to take our children ahead. Let's watch our hesitancy for change. Can you click on the screen, the video? Is it playing? Or you can go out of the presentation and the video is there in the folder. You played it? Yeah. Yes. Let's watch this. This is a short video that shows what we are going through in education. There's no sound in this video. This is an experiment done with some penguins who were used to go on one path, and they put a string in their way. And as you noticed, 3 or 4 of them attempted to go past the string. They didn't have the skills to do that, but they had the will to do that. And when they did it, they did fall down, but they picked themselves up. But can you see a whole group of them very wary of taking that step, not wanting to accept or embrace change? And that is where education is today. Some of us are very willing to accept that change. Some of us are very rooted in what we believe is the right way. Okay, you can stop the video. Thank you. Just go back to the PPT. Thank you. Can you put it on slideshow? So what do we do to bring about this change in India? Where do we start is the most important question. I go to a lot of schools in India and in abroad, and I notice one thing very common among Indian schools in India and abroad. We embrace our traditional so-called stagnant practices and don't want to let it go. Cursive handwriting. Very small children are made to write in cursive. Red and blue lines. Like prison bars, we put the children on red and blue lines. We want them to write a letter 40 times. Only then we will accept that the child knows it. Let's question ourselves. At an age where children should be exploring with their hands, with their minds, we are putting them on a table in military-style tables and making them write 40 times. You know, if I were to ask you right now to write your own name 40 times, you would give up after 5 times. You'd get bored. You won't like to write your own name, which you love so much. You won't like to write it. Why are we still putting children through this drill? What are we achieving by it? We have books and books that children have to swim through, and constantly these stagnant practices. So we want to bring about change in the primary and the secondary and the higher secondary, but we don't want to bring change everywhere. And that is what is holding us back. And as a country, we need to understand about that. Children in our schools don't require whether they know how to write number 10 or number name 10. They will require these skills. These are the skills that your curriculum should be focusing on, because these are life skills and they're going to stay with them for life. Higher order thinking skills, which is what I just talked about when I asked you the question. And higher order thinking skills don't only give children information, they help them use that information in different situations. And that can only happen when our teachers change the way they ask questions to children. We are constantly asking them close-ended questions. We never ask them open-ended questions. For example, we say, would you like to listen to a story? So either the question is yes or no. We never ask them, which story would you like to listen to? Because we are afraid that there will be 10 answers. And the teacher doesn't know how to handle that kind of a conflict in the class. Because when I took a session on open-ended questions with a lot of teachers, they said, what if there 5 children want different stories? Then what do I do? So the teacher is stumped because she has not been trained in conflict resolution. I said, you can then take a vote that teaches them about democracy. So it's very important to understand open-ended questions, not close-ended questions, because that is what is going to cultivate higher order thinking skills in children. When you question children about, did you like the zoo? Did you like going on the field trip? Then you're only going to get a yes or a no. And the poor children who say a no are completely ignored by the teacher. Because how can you not like what I have done for you? I have seen many classrooms where a teacher starts, so are you ready for this? And you have lots of children sitting there and saying, no. And then they realize that these questions that she's asking me are irrelevant to me because she's going to go on doing what she wanted to do. She's not going to listen to me. And that's what, when our chief guest said that everything is available at a click of a button, we as educators need to think about that then what is our role? And why are we keeping on becoming Google for them when they already have a Google auntie to go to? Google auntie, not Google uncle. Men can't be so intelligent. What if clouds had strings? Let us do a higher order thinking technique with all of you. I'm going to tell you this statement, And you are going to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind if this would happen. What if clouds had strings? Come on, your first thoughts. You would fly. You would pull them. What else? You'd climb on them. You would? Fly on them. Reach God, somebody said. Okay. What would happen to the birds if clouds had strings? They would get caught. They would get entangled. They would die. What would happen to airplanes flying while you all are pulling the clouds here and there? Planes would crash. So I come to my question, should clouds have strings? This is higher order thinking skills. When you are teaching children rules, manners, it's important that the understanding comes from within them about why I shouldn't run in the class. Don't run in the class. Don't stand in the class. Don't speak in the class. Did you know the human brain can't process two words? No and don't. So when you say, don't run, what is the child hearing? Don't speak. So very important for teachers to understand, if you want to develop higher order thinking skills, please don't start your sentences with no and don't. It's like a no entry road. You will never want to explore that road. So it's very, very important that you think about positive language use to develop higher order thinking skills. Why are we so focused on reading, writing, and number skills only? Is that going to help our children when they grow up? How much I can read, how much I can write, and how much I can do numbers? I by-hearted my entire algebra curriculum, and that's how I've passed my standard 10th. I now shiver to go in front of an 8th standard student because he would know more algebra than me. I'm serious. I by-hearted algebra. And I passed my 10th standard because I used to never be able to understand. Maths was like a monster for me. And I run now a business house. And I wonder if my maths teacher could see me today, he would faint. He would definitely faint. My kindergarten teacher would complain about me. I would get red marks all the time. And she would say, talks too much. I now get paid to talk. So you have that talkative child in your class, and we wait for open houses to tell the mother how talkative her child is. It's like going to a doctor for medicine for your fever, but the doctor keeps on telling you, you have fever. You have fever. And you're waiting, yeah, this moron will now tell me what to do about the fever. That's how open houses seem like to today's parents. They go all dolled up for the open house because open houses are a competition of who looks better, the teacher or the parent. So they go all dolled up, and what does the teacher tell them? The teacher tells them, your child doesn't write. So the parent waits. Right, so she'll now give me the solution. And then she says, no solution? Okay, my problem? Okay. And I wonder why I'm paying those fees, if it's my problem. And that parent goes completely embarrassed back home and thrashes the child emotionally and sometimes even physically. And not many teachers realize that open house for which both of them dolled up is something that children don't like. Because the post-open house trauma on most children is too bad. So the next time you doll up for an open house, please understand, you're supposed to go there with solutions, not pointing fingers at the parents. Parents have to follow the instinct of parenting. And the parent will never see anything wrong with their child. And when teachers point 5 fingers and say, your child is this, your child is this, your child is this, every parent is going to feel disappointed. Please read a book, Toto-chan. As educators, all of you should read the book, Toto-chan. It's written by a Japanese